Welcome to the Breathwork Summit, a free online event where you'll learn from top experts about integrating the power of your breath to transform your health and well-being. Share this powerful program with your friends and family, and come join us on Facebook at The Shift Network. And now your host, Jessica Dibb.
Welcome to the Global Breathwork Summit 2020. Well, this session is called Breathing the World Awake, from Birth to Global Transformation. I am besotted with this topic of global transformation, and it's a yearning deep in all of our hearts. And so I am beyond delighted to have our faculty here to help us with this topic, Ashanna Solaris and Dharma Devi. Ashanna is a practitioner, trainer, co-founder, and pioneer of the profound practice of clarity breathwork, a gentle, nurturing, feminine approach to healing, transformation, and embodiment. She has led hundreds of trainings, workshops, and retreats around the world, helping students heal and transform, as well as training practitioners. And Dharma Devi is the co-founder and co-pioneer of Clarity Breathwork and a member of the international breathwork community for over 40 years. She travels around the world sharing at festivals and her trainings and retreats, opening hearts one breath at a time through her music and her teachings. Thank you, Ashanna, for being here. Thank you, Dana, for being here.
Thank you, Jessica, for having us. We're delighted.
It's an honor. Yeah.
So global transformation, it's one of the hottest topics on the planet right now. We need a lot of shifts in consciousness, and we need a lot of transformative practices to make that happen. And we're here talking about the field of breathwork and the potential for breathwork to help people experience a field of unity, a field of oneness. So can both of you just talk about a little bit about how you experience breath as being that a unifying pathway, a pathway that helps people experience unity?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. You want to start?
Sure, I can start because we just came back from Pachamama, Costa Rica, where we led 3 8-day trainings. And the level of transformation, healing, miracles, embodiment, insights was absolutely profound. And the capacity of breath to take us beyond our limited perception, our limited ways of thinking, into a greater sense of who we really are and why we are really here is so profound that it reverberates out to the whole collective. And there's simply a sense of being in awe at watching the transformation that we're seeing in our groups and that we're hearing about through our students' groups as well all over the world. And next we'll be in Bali Spirit Festival, where 200 to 300 people will be breathing every single day. And the quantum field gets so powerful. You can feel the breath of the earth breathing us awake. That's why we call this Breathing the World Awake.
Yeah. So we're excited. I'm excited. It's been my passion for 40 years. And like Ashanna said, we were in Pachamama, and every breath is a gateway to our full potential, to calming the nervous system, to saving a relationship, to saving a career by opening to the power of the breath. And it's in the simplest moments and in the trainings with our clients and ourselves on a daily basis to practice what we preach, or what has been the medicine for so long. And of course, yogis have taught for eons of years and decades about the power of the breath. And so we're opening this doorway, and there are so many modalities. So Ours is a specific and unique way, and we're just grateful to be part of a summit, and that there's so many breathworkers from around the globe that are coming forth and sharing this medicine that is so much needed on the planet at this time. So we're deeply grateful to be part of this.
And we are deeply grateful that you are a part of it. And so we're going to want to hear about Clarity Breathwork and the unique contribution. One of the things I so love about the field of breathwork and this summit is that each person, it's like breath calls us, breath has us fall in love with it, and then we each have a unique relationship with it, and it sort of emphasizes different things. Like each of us is like an instrument in an orchestra. So I'm so delighted to just learn all the different ways that breath is doing things. And so maybe going into that, like how breath has worked with you guys to develop Clarity Breathwork and the things that it focuses on. Each of you could just share a story from your own journey with breath, a way that you were personally transformed. Would you like to start, Ashanna?
Sure. I have a really good one that's right on track with our timing, because when I first learned breathwork, it was through rebirthing breathwork with Sandra Ray, and I was at a retreat on Maui, and I remember I was breathing, and I saw a visual of a spiritual master standing in front of me and saying to me, I want you to go out and share breathwork with the world and combine it with energy healing and dance and movement and meditation. And I could see all these hands up in the air all over the world that I was going to go and touch. And I was breathing in it, and I thought, I can't possibly do that. And I said to the spiritual master that I could see in my inner vision through the breathwork, I'm not good enough. I can't do that. And the spiritual master said, okay, then I'll go find somebody else to do it, and turned and started walking away from me. And then I said, wait, this is what I was born for. This is why I'm here. And he turned around and came back and said, then let's get to work. And now that experience was 25 years ago. And now I travel around the world. And one of the things that we always do in our retreats is put the hands up in the air to offer it all up. And I'm living that dream that was revealed to me in that breath session, probably in 1994.
Thank you so much for sharing that. How about you, Dana?
Well, in the 70s, I was in the middle of a breath session, and a lot of my friends were going to a 500-person training and breathwork training in Hawaii with Sandra Ray and Bob Mandel, and it was like a part of the school that I was affiliated with. And I was in a private session myself, and I just want to pause for a moment and say the most powerful experience of my life was in a breath session that I did with a woman many years ago named Joni Watkins. She was from New York City. And it was so powerful, I thought, I have to do this for me. And then it was like you said, the breath called me and said, you are going forward with this. And I didn't know how it happened. I was living in Key West, Florida, my little island. Soon Sandra Ray came to Key West. And moving forward, I was also in this private session wanting to go with all my heart to Hawaii to this training. And I didn't really have the means to do so. And in my breath session, and Chant and I did not know each other in those days, and I was laying down breathing, and then I was crying, and I saw Babaji, the Master Babaji, in white, and he was pouring red rose petals on my forehead. And he said, don't worry, you'll be going to all these places and you'll be teaching. And I didn't believe it. And because I had such a longing in my heart, but it's true that vision that I had with the same master, it's separate years, separate times, that is my calling, my deepest calling. I have trekked to India many times, and the deepest, most powerful tool that I've ever found in my life. Not just sitting by the Ganges, but sitting with the breath and meeting the breath and meeting whatever it reveals to us is the deepest and most nourishing and revealing medicine that I know of.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for the pieces of your personal journey, which I know is continuing every day to unfold you as it does with all of us. So this global transformation that's needed is going to mean that many things have to be birthed in human consciousness, in the human psyche, and many things need to be birthed into our world in terms of ways of being and ways of organizing and ways of being in the collective. And so that theme of birth, is huge right now. And I know that Clarity Breathwork really honors and works with birth. And so why don't you tell us about that connection of birth, Clarity Breathwork, and the global transformation that you see as possible?
I'll start with that one. Well, our birth, I know lots of breathwork schools don't really look at birth. I have found it to be incredibly powerful. And by birth, we mean conception, messages in the womb, and the delivery itself. That it's such a high impact experience. It's the most powerful impact experience of our lives. And since it was pre-verbal, and since that's what it took for us to be alive, we believe we need that. Whatever even if it was traumatic, or we were C-sectioned or forcepted, we recreate that energy, the unresolved energy within our bodies. And we can recreate it with our friends, our families, life itself, our careers, and until it is resolved. And so it is possible through the power of the breath to resolve that, since our breath can access all cellular memories, and including pre-verbal ones, how we felt suffocated or trapped in the womb. And so it's really powerful to take a look at how birth affects our lives and what we carry forward, and how we can let go of big pieces of trauma, and that to me is a huge piece of our work, and people have incredible miracles as a result, including ourselves. And I just want to say one more thing. It doesn't suddenly, that knowledge and the power of the breath doesn't resolve everything, but it does shorten the time of our suffering. And so we see it more quickly to see what is being activated for me that I may take ownership of and responsibility for. So it's incredibly a powerful tool to lead to freedom.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I can add about a birth and also how it relates to our global transformation at this time is so important. And for me, I had a pivotal experience early on in my early 20s where I got trapped in a cave, spelunking, way back in a small corridor. And while I was trapped in that small passageway, I had a spontaneous experience of leaving my body and being back at the moment of my own birth. And all of the fear of a hospitalized birth in 1966, of a medicated birth, of a forceps birth, the terror of coming into the world, the fear that I wouldn't make it, the fear that I would die, that my mother would die. I relived the entire experience in that cave within seconds. And when I was able to come back into my body and see that I wasn't stuck, the cave opened and I was able to move deeper down into the earth. And it was an initiation. I prayed for my life, and I prayed to be reborn from Mother Earth, with Mother Earth. And I put mud on my body, and I ended up slithering out, and my friends who didn't know what was happening, except that I got stuck, started singing happy birthday to me. And it was a huge experience in my life to see that we carry the memories of our births. And the way that it relates to our global transformation right now is that if we don't feel safe, if we don't feel supported, fears that we're not going to make it, that we could die. When the mother is drugged and unconscious, we can feel alone. When we are taken away too soon from mother's breast, put in the isolette, we feel isolated and alone. And that is a large part of our experience for many people on planet Earth right now. So to reconnect to the heartbeat of the mother, our mothers, our Mother Earth, to be able to repair the interference done to our natural capacity to bond, which was largely broken down by medicated, hospitalized birthing practices. So it's really important. It's like Albert Einstein, I think it was, who said, the most important decision that we will ever make is whether to believe the universe is friendly or not. That's a birth experience. When we come into the world, where we wanted, where we welcomed, where we safe, where we supported. And as we go through this global birth, all of that material can get reactivated for us. And when it's activated in our nervous system, we have the tendency to go into fight or flight. So suddenly we're bolting, we're running, or we're checking out, we're going unconscious. Society becomes an addict, addicted to electronic media and all other kinds of addictions to numb and check out. Or we go into fight mode and we are fighting for our lives against one another. So we're definitely in the birth canal right now. And what Clarity Breathwork does is because it's a nurturing, gentle, feminine approach, it is as if we are welcoming each other into a world of love, a world where we are cared for, where we are loved, where we can make our contribution to the world. And some people have never experienced this level of unconditional love and acceptance and welcoming before. So it's absolutely pivotal. Mm-hmm. And then they are freed to bring forth, to fully come into the world and to give their gifts.
Thank you both. Yeah.
Sorry, I want to add one more piece, Jessica, is that the statistics are that 1 in 5 births are unwanted, unplanned mainly, and some of them unwanted. So we are carrying around some of these wounds. And so when you come to breathwork, and we're like two moths, so people feel quite nurtured with Clarity Breathwork. And they can look at life in quite a new and amazing way with eyes of love. So,
what Joseph Children Pierce says is that the system will wait until it is safe. It will shut down until it's safe to start moving again. And so when we provide a space of safety, the system, the organism, the person can start liberating their life force energy and show up and participate. And that's something that is needed on a global scale right now.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for your beautiful articulations about the need, that we all have for that birth. I mean, ideally, we would get that birth at our birth, a conscious birth, but at least that we need that experience in our bodies of being welcomed. That's being validated by science, like Dr. Stephen Porges speaking on this summit, the founder of polyvagal theory. This is like one of his dreams, for the world, is that we would all feel safe, because he honestly feels that if we would feel welcomed and safe, that we would cooperate with one another, that we would be wanting to find ways to work together and live together from a place of peace and joy and harmony and creativity. So it's really beautiful what your work is dedicated to. And I just have to say, Ashanna, that I don't know that many people that are brave enough to go spelunking. So not only did you have that amazing experience there, but it seems like that courage, has carried through in you and Dana co-creating the courage to rebirth, and therefore help this global transformation. So it's interesting that you keep saying that it's this feminine approach to breath work. Obviously, birth has a lot to do with the feminine. And of course, birth would not happen without the masculine. So curious, do you have as many men? Like, what is the ratio of people that do the work? And for the men that do the work, just tell me anything that you observe about the masculine encountering that degree of feminine presence.
Oh, that's such a great question. Thank you for asking that question. And we just had such a wonderful group of men that took our training in Costa Rica. And you're absolutely right. Of course, it does call more women. We haven't done we haven't really looked at the statistics, but my guess would be something like 70% women and 30% men. And yet men love this work because they're also hungry for this kind of nurturing feminine quality. They're hungry, and in that presence, they can heal their own mother wounds as well. And we can all kind of let go of this kind of hyper masculine way of being, of forcing, of pushing, of making things happen. And rather, we are so hungry for surrender and receptivity and allowing and letting go into the flow and letting something greater carry us. And it really seems like that divine mother energy, that greater deity of divine mother is able to come in and do phenomenal healing on men and women. And we do a lot of work on healing the masculine lineage and healing the feminine lineage. And it's so potent. It feels like the ancestors come to also heal. And then, we also bring in the masculine ray because there are times when we really need that more masculine energy to guide us. And we do a whole very strong boundaries and no processes. And of course, both masculine and feminine have these qualities, but we bring that ray in also so that we attempt to bring in more of a balance. But the overarching energy is this more feminine way of surrender, of gentleness. What we found with trauma is that when you're really pushing and forcing the breath in our style, it can create sometimes more trauma for people. The more gentle allows people to really integrate pieces of their material rather than replaying it over and over again. Mm-hmm.
I think that's such important finding that as the field of breathwork matures, we're finding that collectively amongst many breathworkers, and of course polyvagal theory again would say to us that it's that relaxing that allows for the integration. So it's just beautiful to know that there are practitioners and teachers that are really developing an experience around this kind of thing and being able to train other people in it. What's the training like in Clarity Breathwork? What kind of experiences do you have people go through? What's the length of the training?
Well, I'll start. So they're in Pachamama in Costa Rica, where we taught, beautiful in the gorgeous marble hall, and it was we part of the training that was 8 days, level 1 and 2, and the beginning we have the 5 levels of training, and so just in the course of a day, we like to create a very safe and sacred space. So just speaking of the feminine, the sacred feminine. We start with prayers, with movements, because it's about embodiment. And so it isn't that we're really up there lecturing a lot. It's extremely experiential and focused on embodiment, as I said. So I start in creating the safe space. So I start with I'm a musician, so I start with the Divine Mother chant once we're all seated. Ashanna does a whole lot of prayers, and she can share about that in the beginning to get the movement happening for everyone really to be in their body. And once they're seated, we sit in a circle, and there's a chant to help us all sing together and open. The chanting helps open the breath, and we're calling in the sacred feminine, but it doesn't exclude the masculine at all. And then I play multiple flutes. I play many world flutes. The flute helps to open the heart. And Ashanna leads some incredible meditations that help people to really actualize, embody what she's bringing in from sacred words that come channeled through her. And it's a living experience before we ever start the day, before we start the breath work. So it's the safe container that allows everyone to go extremely deep with the work then that we present. So in a meditation, she may present on, if we're looking at birth that day, or mother, father, that will be the focus of the meditation. And then we do processing, and then the breath, of course, the breath is the main event daily. And so I'll share that much, and there's much more.
Yeah, we have a wonderful program. Just reviewing it, teaching it recently was so profound, because the level 1 and 2 is really the deep dive into their own healing journey, from birth to their adult relationships. So we just scan, through the birth with breath work, with the meditations, with embodiment, dance, movement, rituals, so that we're bringing it fully into our bodies, birth through childhood wounding, and finding our resources, finding what are the resources, where are the gifts in our life journey. So as we unravel the story of our lives, we're looking for, we're alchemizing the experiences that were difficult into the gold of what our offering is and our gift is and why we incarnated in the first place. And we bring that into relationship work and sexuality. And then in the level 3-4, which is the next 8-day training, we're teaching them how to give and receive, how to give sessions, and how to process clients, and how to support them through safe and gentle touch, and knowing what questions to ask, and how to support their breath, to adjust their breath. And so they're giving and receiving sessions every day. And then in the 5th level, which is one of my personal favorites right now, is because we're launching this student where they are leading with another student. They're leading a group, a 2.5-hour class to whichever community we're in, whether we're in Costa Rica or we're in Bali or we're in Northern California. People can come, 40 people can come and experience a class, and we are there, and the other students are there to completely support the facilitators, and then to give them feedback and reflection. And the level of growth that we witness from the level 1 through the level 5 is incredible and inspiring.
Mm-hmm. And that we get to give back to the community, which is amazing, because they don't have to pay for it. And so we get to be in the community and then give back to, it's a wonderful training in that way that we also are giving back to.
And then many of the people that come to those free student classes get inspired and decide they want to sign up and become a breath worker also. And in this way, it's spreading, very rapidly.
Yeah.
So what are you guys noticing about people? You talk about as they work through these different, the birth, the conception, childhood stuff, that they're really able to feel their gift, if you will, their purpose is the word that you used. And so I'd love to hear about, when you talk about purpose, do you experience that it's a generalized sense of purpose, that we're all here to help heal things and love things and all that, or you really experience that people get very specific about what their purpose is, like a particular thing that they're supposed to do or a particular thing to create?
I think it can really be both. A lot of our students that come feel a calling to come. Mm-hmm. And they might not have even read what we were offering. They just knew they had to be there. It's really like a divine assignment or a holy appointment, as the Course in Miracles says. They know that they're called to be there, just as we were called to be there, as we talked about in the beginning, when we were asked to lead and share this medicine of breath around the world. So the people that come, they feel like they are here for this greater purpose to help, to bring healing. That's the general, to bring light. And then many people will receive specific guidance during the breathwork sessions, during the retreat, of how they want to bring that forward, or in which group they want to bring that forward to, or how is it relevant? And we allow a lot of personal creativity. We really support our students to bring together what they're called to bring together, to not become us, because they can't. But so many of our students are bringing in many different tools of embodiment, or plant medicine is a big part of many of the younger generation now. They're bringing it together with breathwork, or yoga teachers are bringing breathwork into their trainings, or school teachers are looking at how they can bring breath to their students. We had a person who leads who does big groups for corporations, and now he wants to add breathwork to his event management for corporations. So these are some of the things that we're seeing.
Yeah. Sound healing. A lot of people bring that, or they decide, they realize in the breath work that they need to go back to their homeland and reconnect with their parents and have a baby. I've seen miracles happen, but that's part of the purpose. Also for them, they're called to the breath work, and they become breath workers. Many of them do these days. We get so many inquiries daily. And then, but they make part of their purpose maybe to become a mother, and they clear their childhood, their birth trauma, and then become mothers or fathers and clear the pathways. And so, a lot of people are now really entrepreneurs, and we're seeing a lot of people that have been in corporate positions feel very guided to lead breath and to create circles in all over the world in different ways than what we do. Like Ashanna's saying, that they bring their own skill, and so it isn't like you take our training and it's going to look exactly how we do it. We don't actually want that. We don't support that. The breath, yes, we're very particular about how the breath looks, but they can really get creative and live their purpose. So we support that, and people discover that through the power of the breath and clearing whatever's in their way.
So it really sounds like you are experiencing global transformation through your students and how the breath helps them find a purpose that contributes to that global transformation. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. So can you say something also more about birth itself? Like, do you feel that, I imagine you have women come who end up getting pregnant later, but you probably also have pregnant women come to the trainings too, correct? And are you noticing, because I'm feeling sad, I feel like I would think that we're having more conscious birth in the world. And in the United States, that's actually not the case. There's like a whole subculture of people who are having conscious birth, but the C-section rate is higher than ever. So I'm just wondering what you're noticing in terms of the people that you work with. Are they able to translate the work into really conscious births that they're having, where their babies are having a different experience when they're born?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I would say Pachamama, where in Costa Rica, can have, some people going to the jungle that's not the only place we teach, but if they came there to a training, one very pregnant mama, I think she was about 7 months pregnant, she was concerned for her health and the well-being of her baby, and should she come? And she was the most alive woman in the room, and went for it totally. And she wrote us and said what a glorious birth she had. Now, I don't know the particulars of how natural it was. I know a lot of mothers intend through the power of breath that they want it to be natural, of course, and a water birth. And the baby has its own programming and design. And so, but bringing more consciousness and love, I have witnessed a C-section birth, one of my clients, and was desperate for a natural birth, of course, and water birth. And she had to have a C-section. But the love and the presence and just the tenderness, the consciousness that was there, even though it was a C-section, I would say years ago, without breath work and all the breath workers all over the globe that have given so much of this service, and the power of this work, and they don't give up. There's a calling, like we're saying. And so they have contributed greatly to, if there is the fact that if there is a birth that is not completely natural, that the love and the goodness that comes, that the baby and the mother and the father are much safer. I think Ashanna could talk about one of our recent.
Right, I was thinking of them. We recently had a couple that had a premature baby in a very dangerous situation. And they wrote that without the breath work, they don't know how they would have gotten through it because they almost lost the baby and the mother. And so they were playing some of the playlists from Clarity Breathwork, some of the breathwork music, and they were breathing a lot. And the sweet little baby that could fit in the palm of their hand was delivered, and they were able to stay there with her. And they literally wrote us that we would not have known how to handle all of that had we not gone through the breathwork with you. So trauma still happens in birth. We have many midwives that have taken our trainings and say that they're still witnessing it in the hospitals, but they are bringing their love there, and they're bringing breath there. And absolutely, breathwork is a wonderful preparation for any woman, father, family to give birth. I recently did a conception breathwork session with a couple where we worked on conceiving their baby and clearing the blockages to conceiving, and they just reported that they are pregnant. And I'm excited to watch, how they do it. And then we've also been able to help families that afterwards that we had a family in a cesarean birth that I noticed a lot of trauma between the child and the mother. And I said, was there trauma at the birth? And the mother just started crying right away. And it was a cesarean. And she hadn't been able to bond with the boy because he was taken away. And they had not really bonded yet. And we were able to do a session to help them reconnect and heal that interference and bond together. And the boy was 2 at the time. So hopefully that will help him in the long run. So that birth trauma doesn't need to play out over and over again.
I have one more thing that I want to share too. What I noticed at pre and perinatal conferences with, Bruce Lipton and Joseph Chilton Pierce and all the great Cheek, David Cheek, I think. So with all these great Le Boyer, all these wonderful pre and perinatal biologists and scientists and criminologists all coming together, that breathwork has played an incredible role in healing the birth traumas and then helping parents to see perhaps C-section, circumcision is not the highest good for our baby. And so I feel breathwork has really contributed, even though there are a lot of C-sections, that they can still be more conscious. And even if they are C-sections, that the love is what brings the great healing and the breath.
Well, all of this work that you're describing, Ashanna and Dana, is so beautiful. And I can just tell your students are so grateful, and it's just spreading, and it's really a gift to all of us. And I'm wondering, we have just a few more minutes. I'm wondering if there's a breathing meditation that you would like to guide us through for 2 or 3 minutes as we bring this Clarity Breathwork session to a close.
Sure. We wish Dana had her flutes, because usually Dana would play her beautiful flutes as I guide a meditation. But why don't we just guide it together, and we'll just
guide it together. I just want to say on my business cards for breathwork, it says healing hearts one breath at a time. So every breath matters. Opening hearts one breath at a time. So we'll do something along that line.
So to all of you watching right now, we invite you to take a moment to close your eyes, perhaps, and to put a hand on your heart and a hand on your belly, to relax your jaw and open your mouth and take a big breath. And just let go on the exhale. It's a silent ah on the inhale and a silent ha on the exhale. And we'll do a circular, connected breath all the way up through the heart, through the top of your head, connecting to that divine, infinite intelligence that we've been speaking about. Calling in all of your light, all of your energy, calling in your greater purpose. And on the next exhale, let's just all drop roots, grounding cords down into Mother Earth, Gaia, this incredible apothecary. And we'll just connect all the way down into the center of the earth and feel how supported we are by the earth underneath us and by the sky above us, the infinite above us.
And as we breathe, we sense that the truth is that all things can be healed by the power of our love, by the power of our infinite breath, the wisdom that lives within us, the heart in every cell of our bodies. There is a heartbeat in every cell, a soul in every cell of our bodies. We see that there is only love around us, and that with this love, we can embrace all things that appear, that may be masquerading as pain, as a remembered loss. And there is space inside of us with the healing power of our breath to meet this place instead of trying to make it go away, to meet it with love, with kindness, with compassion, tenderness, and a gentle approach to letting go of anything in the way of the love that resides in us, that is us, that lives and breathes as us.
And just feel the breath opening up the passageway to the bottoms of your feet. Through your legs, you may feel tingling sensations as you bring all of this energy and oxygen into your body. Let's bring both hands to our hearts and feel all the energy through our arms and fingertips back into our hearts, honoring and cherishing our heartbeats, our connection to Mother Earth, to one another, to the global heartbeat, to over 7 billion hearts beating, wanting to bring about healing of Mother Earth. Let's go ahead and put our hands in a namaste in front of our hearts.
And we thank the powers that be that brought us here together. And we ask that this simple phone call, this simple video call, this beautiful summit on the Ship Network, we see that each breath is a gift to us. It is our aliveness. It is our birthright to live in harmony and in peace. May it connect us with all living things. May we all discover the oneness that is everything in profound gratitude.
And in the last couple of breaths, we invite you to bring the tips of the fingers to your third eye and to set an intention for yourself and a vision for yourself that you can really believe in, that is this seed of higher purpose that we've been talking about, that is what you are really here to do, your right work in the world. See it, believe it, bring a breath into it. And then let's just dedicate it with our intention. We'll just bow to one another, bring the hands back to our heart. And bowing to you also, Jessica, thank you for bringing all of these breathwork teachers and healers from around the world together. We are ready as a global breathwork community to midwife this beautiful planet into a higher vibration and way of living and breathing on planet Earth.
Maybe so.
Maybe. So, and Ashanna and Dana, we are ready. And part of why we're ready is because both of you received the calling of the breath and allowed it to companion you and develop you and bring you into contact with so many people. So thank you so very much. I'm honored to be in the community of breathworkers with both of you. And we wish all of you who are listening great power and love with every breath.
Thank you for joining the Breathwork Summit, brought to you by the Shift Network. To learn more, visit breathworksummit.com. To learn more about our global programs to support you in waking up in all the areas of your life and taking inspired action, visit theshiftnetwork.com. Thank you again for joining us and for sharing this empowering path to embracing optimal well-being through conscious breathing.